Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So today, we're going to take a look at the rest of the story behind Albert Flick. In case the name is not familiar with you, that's alright. A lot of people don't know who Albert Flick is, but when I tell you and I read you this article about Albert Flick and his history of crimes, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna do one of those head scratching things, like, and throw your hands up and go, "What the hell has been going on in this case? How is it possible that this man, for the last 39 years, has had a history of violent offenses towards women and has only been incarcerated for a couple of times and gotten basically a slap on the wrist for every offense except for one"? Albert Flick. This man has gotten so many breaks so many times by the justice system. It's unbelievable. It really is. And it's all true. So let's take a look at the rest of the story behind Albert Flick. So first off, the headlines start off with "Murderer deemed unlikely to hurt again because of age is convicted in second killing." Prior to his latest attack, judge cut Albert Flick's suggested jail time in half, saying his old age made him harmless. The 77-year-old convicted murderer, whom a judge once deemed to be too old to hurt someone again, has been convicted of fatally stabbing another woman. A jury on Wednesday convicted Albert Flick in the July 15th, 2018 murder of Kimberly Dobbie, 48, outside of a laundromat in Lewiston, Maine. Dobbie, twin 11-year-old boys, were nearby and watched their mother being stabbed and then die on the ground in front of a laundromat. Albert Flick had become obsessed with Dobbie, and how the two of them had met was Dobbie had volunteered as part of his community corrections from another murder case. He had to do so many hours of community service. And while he was doing his community service, he met this single mother, Dobbie, and her two 11-year-old boys who were living in a homeless shelter at the time. Dobbie couldn't afford much for her children. She couldn't afford healthy food. She couldn't afford much of anything for them to do for fun and excitement, school, nothing. It was that she was meagerly getting by, hoping and praying that someday along the line that the state would start to enforce the welfare and the child support, agreement that she had with the 11-year-old children's father. She never saw that day come. She never got that child support. The one thing she needed the most was that child support and enforcement to be put into effect so she could get out of the homeless shelter, so she could give her two 11-year-old boys a chance. Now, according to her Facebook page, Dobbie had taken, with the help of Flick and a local nonprofit organization, she was able to start affording healthier lunches for her two boys, clothes for them, and to be able to take them on outings once in a while to, like, the pumpkin patch or to a theme park. Not like a big, theme park, but it's more of like an upscale park with lots of things to do, and it doesn't have an admission charge. But she was finally able to do it. But Flick, all the way along this, had become more and more obsessed with Dobbie. And as he would tell prosecutors later on, if I can't have her, nobody can have her. The obsession became to a point where he said, if I can't have her, nobody can have her. And that's exactly what he did. According to Assistant Attorney General Robert Ellis, the attack followed a series of violent instances involving Flick and other women over nearly 4 decades, as well as a judge arguing against giving him a longer prison sentence 8 years before his latest attack because of his age. In 1979, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison for stabbing his estranged wife in front of his daughter from another relationship. After his release, he was convicted of assaulting another woman in 2010 with a knife. A prosecutor recommended that he serve 8 years behind bars, but the judge cut that in half to 4, citing that Flick was in his late 60s and hindered by which would hinder his ability to hurt anyone again. At some point, Mr. Flick's age is going to render him incapable of acting in such contact. A Maine Superior Court Judge Robert E. Crowley said at the time, "An incarceration beyond the time he ages out doesn't seem to make good sense from a criminology or a fiscal perspective." After Flick's release in 2014, he moved to Lewiston, where he eventually met Dobbie, who was living in a homeless shelter, as I had said, and her 2 sons, and became infatuated with her. When Dobbie refused to be in a relationship with him and told him just to go away, he became more and more infatuated with her, stalking her, following her, showing up at places where she was, getting in the way of her getting a job to keep her, from ever getting that next foot up that she needed so desperately to get out of the homeless shelter, to provide a better life for her 2 sons. He went to endless lengths to make sure she never got gainful employment, she never got an apartment, she never get any place. Well, little did he know, she got that apartment. With the help of a local nonprofit organization, she was able to get that apartment. But Flick didn't know about it until this tragic event. He found out that there was a possibility that she had gotten an apartment and she was going to move away, and he wouldn't see her again, and he wouldn't be able to control her, or be with her, or be around her. So, on this fateful day, while her and her sons were doing laundry, the week before she was about to move away into an apartment in another city, away from Flick, he walked up to the laundromat and started arguing with her outside the door, while her 2 11-year-old boys sat just inside the doorway. He pulled out a large hunting knife and stabbed her multiple times in the abdomen and upper chest, killing her right there in front of her boys. Remember, he killed his estranged wife in front of his daughter before. He didn't care if anybody else saw it. And just like the last case, he dropped the knife and then sat down on the curb and waited for the police to come. No care in the world. Sending me back to prison, he's basically saying to him, I don't care. I'll probably get leniency again. The larger story is Flick assaulted and had 9 different attempts to harm his estranged wife before he stabbed her. The girlfriend, who he never married, who he had the daughter with, he assaulted her over a dozen times and was arrested 3 times for assaulting her. Altogether, counting the police reports for domestic violence, 22 times the police have been involved with Flick in his violent outburst towards women. 22 times in his life. Once a man puts his hands on you or anyone, they're gonna do it again. Flick proves that right there. He never learned his lesson. He wasn't going to learn any lesson. And the justice system kept on failing everyone around him. So now, he's going away back to prison where he belongs. He'll never get out this time. But why wasn't the justice system there for Dobbie or for his estranged wife or any of the other women who ever crossed paths with him? Sad. That's 3 children right there who have to live with the horror for the rest of their lives, knowing and seeing their mothers be killed in front of them. Well, thank you again for stopping by today and checking out today's video. You stay safe out there.